Hi everyone. Finally back in front of the camera with the hair out. It's been a little while. I think that today's chat will be about US soccer and just a few thoughts I have about what people have been discussing online and whatnot. So first off, in the game against Bosnia, I almost forgot who they played, there was basically people were complaining that they can't get into the sport because obviously they only watch it due to patriotism when the US is playing, and they can't get into it because basically, now I'm going to play devil's advocate. Personally, I think the problem with the VAR is it takes away a lot of the nuance. I'm going to compare the challenge with Balogun on whoever he stepped on. I think it might have been, I forgot. It wasn't Kolasinac. It wasn't, I don't think it was Muharamovic or however you say it. So I don't really care who it was. But the point is, that was a really short leg, goodness gracious. The point is, there's this challenge. Well, it's not even really a challenge. That's the problem. So there's this incident sort of on the ball, but they're going for the ball, where the guy's leg plants and Balogun steps on his leg and it looks really bad. Personally, and this kind of goes into offside as well to an extent, I think there are, or at least were, rules that made sense and have been adjusted to suit the game. And then there's also VAR taking it to a crazy level that isn't necessary and doesn't necessarily uphold the spirit of the laws of the game. And I'm going to compare that to whoever, might have been Qatar, when Canada played Qatar and Ismail Kone, that's his name, right? I think that's his name, had his leg broken, or ankle broken. That challenge was worth a red card because the dude broke his leg. They call it a leg breaker, an ankle breaker for a reason. If a guy writhes around in pain for a minute, but nothing's actually damaged, there's no bones or ligaments damaged, that should not be a red card. I mean, there are some tackles that are really bad and are intentional, but I think when you combine, it has to be at least one of intent and damage. I don't think you can just say, oh, well, this looks bad on camera, slow it down, but there was no intent and there was no real damage. The guy didn't even have to leave the game. So he plays the rest of the game. And this isn't even a, oh, well, you're American, so you're going to defend the American guy. No, this would be the case, whoever it is. With Kone, it's like, yeah, dude's out for months now and broke his ankle or leg or whatever. So yeah, you're going to give a red card and the dude should be suspended for violent conduct because that's ridiculous. He broke the guy's leg. In this case, Balogun accidentally stepped on the guy's ankle. He didn't actually get injured, and now you're forced to play X amount of minutes without 10 minutes or without your full lineup. Plus, the next game he's suspended when there really is no need for that. But anyway, that's one frustration. I think I understand why it was given. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think if you're gonna sit there and compare every single challenge, then I think you have to be consistent. I don't think that's the case. The next point is people who only watch for, as I said, patriotic reasons, which is perfectly fine. Some people don't like the sport, some people have other sports, some people aren't going to dedicate much time to sports. That's fine. No one's saying you have to watch sports constantly like I do, for instance. But then there's this debate about the local teams versus supporting foreign teams, etc. Now, my take there is, I think we have to acknowledge that there is, simply put, a structural difference with, let's just say, European teams and how those leagues work, where you obviously have pyramids and you have international competitions, well, more or less continental competitions is how I meant to say that, with the Champions League, Europa League, etc. And also the history of the leagues, and how initially, at least, it wasn't this Americanized / global game where you have guys from Russia owning teams, you have Americans owning teams, you have these oil money people owning teams, and there's a limited level of actual competition. And in some ways, the leagues ensure that this is the case by making rules that prevent billionaires from pumping all their money in to make a team relevant. That literally happened after Chelsea, after PSG, after Man City. You see Newcastle, they've just sold however many players in the past year or so, partly because they can't just splurge all their owners' money anymore, which is partly a result of leagues saying, hey, Manchester United are complaining, Arsenal are complaining, Liverpool are complaining that the traditional teams can't almost monopolize the league anymore, because if anyone comes along and says, hey, we have this money, if a giant corporation like Red Bull decides, hey, we want to get into the English game, hey, you can't, because there are rules that prevent you from spending whatever money you feel like spending. So that's one thing just to clear up, I think. I don't think it's a coincidence that most Americans, most foreign fans of English teams support the same, I would almost say 4 teams, maybe 5 these days, where if you're kind of more of a hipster, you might go with Tottenham. It used to be Liverpool, but then I've obviously seen this firsthand as a Liverpool fan. That came on before the success, the more of the recent success. Obviously, there was the initial success in like the 70s with guys like Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, etc. Kenny Dalglish as a player. But the more recent Klopp era success, after a number of failed ownership groups and management managers that had the team languishing in between 5th and 8th place for like 10 years. Yeah, the Klopp times, aka 2018 onwards up until about now, a lot of people just haven't even experienced. I forgot where I was going there. But the point is, a lot of people now kind of support Liverpool, and it's not a hipster team anymore. That was kind of the point. It's not a hipster team anymore because they actually win. You could almost say for a while there with the banter eras, Man United never really would be considered that. I think it would take another like 20 to 40 years, at least another 10 to 20 years, maybe 20 to 30, to actually say, right, well, they haven't won anything in 30 years, so they're now a hipster team, yay. And even then, that would be debatable. But the point is that only a few teams really get fans like that. You have, obviously, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Tottenham. That's basically it. Like, let's just be honest. I mean, throughout the world, that's who people support. You have your Italian teams, Inter, Juventus, Milan. You have, obviously, Barcelona, Real Madrid, a little bit with Atletico and Valencia. You have Bayern and Dortmund. Again, Dortmund's more of the hipster aesthetic. When in reality, if I could get my words out, there are more hipster. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the hipster thing too much, but the point is, this whole idea of supporting a closed league that is set up literally in franchises that can be moved, I don't think it's not that authentic, in my opinion. And the level of play, I know this having gone to a few Richmond games. I'm not going to say a number. I don't sit here and watch a bunch of Richmond Kickers games because that's the 3rd tier and I couldn't be bothered. I'm not from Richmond, so yeah. but I do here and there support them. The point I'm making is you can't really say, oh yeah, this is my local team, when there's only a few teams and they're all in the major cities. If you live in a major city, okay, you can say it's kind of your local team, sure. Like if you're from the Philadelphia area, I should say, and you decide to support the Union, that would make sense because that's your local team. If you're from the middle of nowhere, if you're from like 2+ hours from an actual team, that's not really your local team. That kind of defeats the purpose. The better comparison is your college whatever team in the sport you like. And again, I've gone to and worked games for my college, whether as a fan, as a student, as a worker. So again, I don't think this applies to me. I think this applies to more people who are trying to get into the game, but it's just a different reality in this sporting culture. You can't just say, oh, well, my local team, you can get in for X amount of dollars or pounds and it's this authentic experience and you can actually have a community. I guess you can, but it's not as authentic as people want to make it out to be. It's kind of the point. And if people get more satisfaction watching Liverpool, watching Man United, watching Spurs, whoever, I'm not going to say, I'm trying to think of a comparison. I'm trying to think of what is, like I said, I think the better comparison would be the college sports, whether that be basketball, football, soccer, whatever. And I'm trying to think of another. I don't think there is the best of comparisons for this discussion. I almost think it would almost be like saying a European would go follow the local baseball league or whatever. Like if, say, the Netherlands or England has a baseball league, it would almost be like that. Or maybe the Eurobasket thing where a number of the main football clubs or whatever have their own basketball team or the women's football team or something like that. It would kind of be like that, where it's not quite the same. It's not going to be the same atmosphere. It's not going to be the same necessarily connection. It's certainly not the same quality. So if you want to support MLS, cool. If you want to support your local team, cool. But I get both sides of the discussion. I think I just wanted to get some thoughts out there. So anyway, back to baseball content in the next video, which I'll probably make later today. Cool. If you watched, thank you. Leave a comment if you like. See you in the next one. Peace.